On the freezing night of February 1st, 1959, in the Ural Mountains foothills, but what they found at dawn shattered every theory. Do you dare to enter the forbidden zone where the dead don't stay buried? Welcome to Truth Unveiled. And today, we're revealing the unsolved mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident. In the winter of 1959, 9 ski-toting students set out from the Urals to tackle the formidable Otorten mountain pass. They would be out for 2 weeks, and upon their return, the group planned to celebrate with some hard-earned vodka and hot baths. It sounded like fun, but this would be no pleasure cruise. The following is a reconstruction based on survivor testimonies and physical evidence. Just over a week into the hike, Yuri Krivonishenko and his friends had reached an altitude of nearly 1,000 meters. Overnight temperatures had plunged to a bone-chilling 30 degrees centigrade. But spirits were high. The weather had cleared after days of heavy snowfall, revealing a landscape of dazzling beauty. There were just 2 more days until their planned rest stop. So the next morning, they got up early and continued their trek through the stunning mountain scenery. As the group made their way down the mountainside, a nearby avalanche should have served as a warning. The students, however, were not deterred and continued hiking toward their goal. Little did they know that what awaited them would become known as the Dyatlov Pass incident. That evening, around 8 p.m., the students set up camp in a secluded valley. They pitched their tent near a cedar tree, presumably choosing the site for protection from avalanches. According to reports, there was even time for some fun and games. Friendships were tested as they played the game Mafia until it was too dark to continue. By 10 p.m., everyone had retreated into the tent, tucking in for the long night ahead. But sleep did not come easy. Some said they heard strange noises outside the tent. Others woke up suddenly, shaken by vivid nightmares. Outside, the temperature plummeted to an astonishing 30 degrees centigrade. The wind began to rise, swirling snow into menacing eddies. Then disaster struck. Around 2 a.m., a massive blizzard hit the mountain pass. Visibility dropped to almost 0 and the wind howled like a banshee. Terrified, the hikers huddled inside their tent. Some fell asleep, while others kept watch, fearing the worst. Then, in the darkness, something terrifying happened. The tent was ripped open and a wall of snow crashed down on the hikers. When they awoke, several of their number were missing. All around them, the snow had stopped falling and the wind had died down. Dawn was breaking, revealing a landscape transformed by the storm. Dazed and disoriented, the remaining hikers stumbled out of the tent. To their horror, 4 of their group were lying motionless in the snow. Despite their efforts, they were unable to revive any of them. Fearful of an avalanche, they managed to pull the tent from the snow and drag the bodies nearby. After burying them, they left messages on stones for help. Then, with dwindling supplies, they set off down the mountain, hoping to find civilization. Eventually, they came across a logging hut where they were discovered by a worker named Zinaida Komogorova. She immediately called the authorities and the news of the tragedy spread like wildfire. The incident became known as the Dyatlov Pass incident, named after the group leader, Igor Dyatlov. When investigators arrived at the scene, they found 9 bodies, all victims of hypothermia. Most of the corpses showed signs of trauma, including missing eyes, damaged clothing, and broken skulls. The tent had been torn open from the inside and displayed strange marks consistent with violent shaking. None of these injuries could explain the cause of death. After the tragic discovery, the Soviet government launched a full investigation. At first, it seemed like an open and shut case. The evidence pointed to an avalanche which had struck the tent, killing all 9 students. This accounted for the injuries, the displaced tent, and the ripped clothing. Yet there were puzzling inconsistencies. Avalanches typically leave behind a telltale crease in the snow, but there was no such mark at the campsite. Moreover, there was no trace of a snow wall near the tent, nor any sign of a struggle. Most curiously, 6 of the bodies were found relatively close to the tent, while the other 3 had been dragged further away. Their state of undress also defied explanation. Several students were found without boots, gloves, or shirts, and all of them had lost their lower extremities. All of this suggested that the hikers had panicked and cut off their own limbs to escape the suffocating snow. But why? Clearly, something had terrified them enough to risk losing their fingers and toes. Later, when the authorities searched the area, they found a recording device containing an audio tape that sent shockwaves through the nation. It was a soundtrack of fear. The tape contained recordings made by the group prior to their disappearance, whispering about an unknown presence haunting their every move. In fact, the recordings continued even after the blizzard, suggesting that the hikers knew something was wrong. Was it a man-made or extraterrestrial phenomenon? Or could it be explained by a simple natural occurrence? Here are the top 2 theories surrounding the mysterious event. Theory 1, the logical. A sudden slab avalanche buried the camp, triggering mass panic, hallucinations, and a mad dash for safety. But there was no avalanche to be seen. Why did the tent show signs of violent shaking? An earthquake measuring 4.7 on the Richter scale occurred just hours before the incident. While not large enough to trigger an avalanche, it could have caused the tent to shake violently, perhaps leading to the mysterious tears in the fabric. This could also explain the disarray of the camp and the injuries sustained by the victims. But what about the audio tape? Was this simply the sound of the tent shaking, or did something more sinister lurk outside? We may never know for sure. Theory 2, speculative. This brings us to the most controversial theory involving secret government psychic experiments. The events took place during the height of the Cold War. The US and Soviet Union were locked in a nuclear standoff, and anything was possible. Allegedly, both sides were experimenting with psychic abilities. The US program was known as MK Ultra, and the Soviet equivalent was titled Project Aurora. The project focused on extrasensory perception and telekinesis, and it was rumored that Project Aurora succeeded in developing a psychic weapon capable of influencing human behavior. Could this have been used on the Dyatlov Pass hikers? If so, what was the purpose of the experiment? Some believe that the hikers were part of a larger test, part of Project Aurora's research into manipulating people on a grand scale. Perhaps the project wanted to see if it could cause panic and confusion among a large group of people. The choice of students as subjects would make sense. Young people tend to be less inhibited and more suggestible than adults. The fact that the hikers were carrying radios would have allowed the experimenters to monitor their progress. The ominous whispers captured on the audio tape could very well be the psychic attack in action. This theory is further bolstered by the unexplained injuries. After all, the effects of psychokinetic attacks can be quite devastating. In fact, there were rumors that the KGB investigated Project Aurora shortly after the incident. Agents were said to have visited the families of the hikers, searching for any connection to the government. However, no official report of this has ever been released. If the incident was part of a government experiment, it wasn't just Project Aurora that was involved. The NLO, or the Committee for State Security, was reportedly interested in the hikers' strange activities, possibly seeing the incident as an opportunity to investigate burgeoning occult movements. The occult was gaining traction in the West, and the NALO wanted to determine if the students were involved in such activities. These concerns led to the destruction of many of the investigation files, leaving us with more questions than answers. Did extraterrestrials, government agents, or malignant spirits drive the Dyatlov Pass hikers to their doom? Unfortunately, we may never know the truth. For now, the mystery remains unsolved, leaving us to wonder what lurks in the shadows of the Ural Mountains. Now it's time for you to enter the Forbidden Zone and share your thoughts. What do you think really happened at Dyatlov Pass? Write your theory in the comments. I'll turn the best one into its own special video.